Chapter 1. 4 years later. Jodi reached across the passenger seat of her van, fumbling for the scrap of paper with the directions she had written down. There you are. She held the paper against the steering wheel and tried to decipher her scribbles. She had been so distracted the day Ken called that she hurriedly jotted down the basic information before rushing back to her 4-page to-do list. Now she wished she had spent a few extra seconds writing legibly. The afternoon sun in her eyes made it difficult to read the street signs. She drove past one, then slowed down at the next. "I think this is the right road," she mumbled, turning off the 2-lane highway onto a dirt road. She glanced again at the last line of directions. Last house, past open field, dead end. A road ends sign a few feet ahead boosted her confidence as she continued down the narrow road, made even narrower by the closely placed trees and thick underbrush. There was barely enough room for her vehicle to pass. She glanced out at a white farmhouse almost hidden behind a curtain of evergreens. A gust of wind snatched and swirled some leaves in front of her like tiny colorful kites freed from their strings. The orange, red, and yellow leaves swooped and fluttered in the wind. Clouds were billowing to the north. "I'm glad I grabbed a coat before I left." Since she had lived in Michigan her entire life, she knew the unseasonably warm temperatures they were experiencing in mid-October would not last much longer. The wind and gathering clouds hinted at colder weather. Jodi came upon a field overrun with at least a dozen giant rolls of hay. That must be the field. She stopped the van for a moment. "And that's a lot of hay," she marveled out loud, gratitude warming her heart. "That will last quite a while." With 8 horses, 1 donkey, and 4 goats needing to be fed twice a day, she was in constant need of hay and money to buy it. Then it hit her. How are we going to get all this back to the ranch? "I'll let Ty figure that one out," she chuckled, grateful for a husband who enjoyed a good challenge and didn't shy away from hard work. Jodi eased off the brake as a driveway came into view at the bottom of a gentle slope. She followed the driveway to a tan ranch-style house surrounded by rolling hills and open fields. As she pulled in behind a large pickup truck, she inhaled deeply, held it for a few seconds, and then slowly exhaled. It was time to see what was in store for the hay donation. Jodi's heart beat faster. What if it doesn't work out? What if I can't agree to their conditions? What if it turns out badly? What ifs had plagued Jodi her whole life, a default setting she had fought hard to reset. "And what if it works out just fine, Jodi Stuber?" she said aloud, refusing to allow her fear to get the upper hand. Stop letting fear lead. Her pep talk worked, at least for the moment, and her fear began to give way to a hopeful anticipation. It was the same hopeful anticipation she had experienced the week before during the Cowboy Ball, the annual fall fundraiser supporting Hopewell, their therapy ranch. She and Ty had founded the ranch 3 years ago, a year after Jodi had set up the fence posts. Those 4 years had flown by, and Jodi knew that not only the clients had benefited from the therapy, but she had too. Still, running the ranch required a lot of funds, and fundraising was Jodi's least favorite part of her job. Yet it was vital to care for the menagerie of animals: horses, donkeys, goats, chickens, ducks, rabbits, and dogs. Each year, the Cowboy Ball was a lot of fun to put on, but Jodi and her small team of volunteers spent months planning, weeks gathering and packaging donations to auction off, and days decorating the venue to make it happen. This year's was no exception. By the time the actual event rolled around, she was mentally and physically exhausted. That day, with just 2 hours left before the guests would arrive, Jodi had run home from the ranch to shower and change. Then she had allowed herself 10 quiet minutes before heading to the banquet hall. 2 minutes into her short respite, her phone rang. Jodi didn't recognize the number and didn't have the energy to answer, so she let the call go to voicemail. 8 more minutes, she breathed out, sinking into the closest chair.